Hello, welcome back to Astra Observator. Today we are going to be talking about the new Star Wars series that we've just gotten a few more leaks on in the form of Star Wars Acolyte, specifically what it is and why we should be keeping an eye on it in the future. But before we begin, please be sure to subscribe to the channel so you never miss another video from us. So, Star Wars has had a lot of updates recently on a vast majority of its content. And even recently, we've been able to see some of that updates recently. But it comes to mind that one of the ones that I feel like they're talking about but not talking about is Star Wars Acolyte. I see it pop up with almost every major news update, but I still don't have a very good idea of what it is, and I get the feeling if I ask a lot of other people, they won't either. So that's why I did some digging into it to see all the material that has been released on it so far and why we should maybe get excited about it. First off, it's interesting to note that this series has specifically stated that Star Wars Acolyte is going to follow the rise of the dark side in the era of the High Republic. This is supposed to be set about 200 years before the Phantom Menace, so we're kind of supposed to be seeing this resurgence of the Sith during this era, which is interesting. I mean, there's been a lot, and I mean a lot, of expanded material about the Sith over the course of Star Wars' history. And a lot of it is in a very odd place right now because it's in Legends, so it's canon but could be decannoned at any moment. That having been said, I'm not quite sure we have anything in this era specifically. It sounds like this is going to be following what would have been the Darth Bane books, where we kind of got the origin of the Rule of Two and stuff, and obviously before anything really dealing with Darth Plagueis. So it's kind of interesting to note that this could be effectively a brand new expansion for Star Wars in an era that we haven't seen all that much. I mean, the High Republic itself is an era that is only touched upon in one Star Wars material, and that is in the comic books entitled Star Wars: The High Republic. So getting a little bit more in this new era that they kind of just created and then haven't done very much with could be very, very exciting. I also think that the High Republic era has some potential because it's one of the few eras that has no current connection to anything else going on in Star Wars. It's effectively, in my opinion, maybe a good place for new fans or people that are looking for a Star Wars item that they can jump into without necessarily having to be involved in all of the other Star Wars projects. Is it going to be a vast and spreading out project? I'm sure. That's just the way a lot of projects are done now. But this could be a good intersection for new people or people that just want something, they can kind of sink their teeth into that's new. And I think that's an exciting thing. I mean, this might be for Disney's Star Wars what Knights of the Old Republic was for everyone else back when Star Wars just had the extended universe. I mean, it was an era that had to have existed. It's the history, but not really something anybody had thought of and the implications of it. So, I mean, it's kind of really cool to get to see that we might get something like that again for this. And I would hope that maybe it would tie into the comic books. I've heard that the comic books are okay. I haven't read any of them myself at this point, but I've not heard anything bad about them either. So I think that if you have that potential in mind, they could do some cool things with this. But what else of this should you be kind of keeping an eye on? And that's the fact that it seems to be entering production, and since it's entering production, we have a very good idea that this will actually be a project that will be completed. That's not something we can easily say with a lot of other Star Wars projects, but this one definitely seems to be one that is going to come out on the other side, and we are going to have an actual product for our investment in watching this series. It just had set photos leak a couple of weeks ago, and we keep getting more and more information drops on it, and I imagine we'll get more and more as the series develops along. I also imagine that promotion for this is probably quite difficult because, like I said, if you only have a comic book to promote it with, there's not really a lot that they can drop in terms of hints and references to stuff to get you excited about it. But I think it could be interesting. We've never seen a Star Wars series from a dark side perspective. We've never seen one in this time period specifically. And I mean, it is going to be an era where the Jedi are prominent. Certainly, I think if there could be a complaint leveled at modern Star Wars in particular, people have different views on it, but I think the lack of Jedi maybe hurts the series quite a bit. That was always something so heavily connected to it that just differentiated it from other science fiction projects, and feeling their absence a little bit within the last few years is not necessarily unwarranted. I mean, we got the Kenobi series, which was not necessarily good if you were looking for Jedi stuff. There was some in it, but not as much as I think people would have been hoping for in that regard. This is very much a series that is going to delve into the Force, even if it's from a dark side perspective. You know that the antagonists will be Jedi, so it's going to be really interesting to see how that develops out. But what do you guys think? I mean, we have very limited information so far, but are you kind of hopeful for this series? Do you not like the idea of it and you think they should stick to only certain time periods, or are you somewhere in between? Let me know in the comments below, and I will catch you on the next video.